Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Nexiphor Cast, where we highlight forward-thinking leaders who are shaping the industry. Today, I have the absolute pleasure of inviting the CEO of Emerald Built Environments, Laura Steinbrink. Laura, thank you very much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Duran. Nice to see you.
Absolutely. So, Laura, can you give us an introduction about yourself and start telling us how you got started in this business in the first place?
Sure. So I started Emerald. It was known as another name, but back in the year 2008, after I had been working at a very large hospital system in Ohio in the United States that was about to build several new buildings and do a lot of construction on campus. And it was a hospital that's affiliated with a local university. And the students at the local university said, you should build sustainably. You should get LEED certification. You should have wind turbines and solar panels. And in my role, which was community relations, they said, hey, you're the community person. You figure this out. And so I basically had the opportunity to write the business case for why they should build sustainable buildings and help them understand why LEED certification was aligned with their mission and
Yeah,
how they could look at renewables or how they could just look at being energy efficient, right? How they could leverage this effort to create a more high performing sustainable building. And in the process, I identified that nobody on their architect team, no one on the engineering team, no one on the construction team was advising them towards the concept of sustainable buildings. And I said, well, okay, this is kind of cool. I like it. I took the test to get my LEED accreditation and
okay.
started getting consulting clients. And that was, what is that, 18 years ago? And here we are
Nice.
today.
Nice, awesome. And can you also talk us in more detail what was like exact moment you really realized there was like a real opportunity on sustainability, not just a trend on that time?
Well, so this hospital system hired some of the best architects, engineers, and contractors to help them. It was a $3 billion campaign 18 years ago. Well, actually, it was 20 years ago because this was the year 2006. This was the year
Yeah,
2006 when this started. And all of them looked at me, who was asking these questions, and basically said, well, we can't do that. We can't build sustainable. Oh, it costs too much money. Oh, you can't have LEED certification because there's nuclear medicine inside this building. And I was like,
yeah,
no, that's not true. I mean, LEED doesn't care if you have nuclear medicine. They care if you have energy efficient building. And
yeah.
so it was in that moment of those conversations with the experts where I realized there wasn't expertise. And so there was an opportunity.
Brilliant. And like in the early days, what was like the hardest part, let's say? Was it like convincing clients, building the service, or believing in the vision only by yourself?
So it's interesting because all over the course of the 18 years that I've been practicing this, people often ask me, well, how do you convince people to do what you do? I'm like, I don't convince people. I don't have time for that because there's enough
Yeah,
people who are curious. They want to learn more. And so if there's some level of curiosity about how can I be more sustainable or how can I save money or how can I make a more efficient building that's going to cost me less to operate, that's going to, be more durable, that's going to withstand climate risks like flooding or tornadoes or all of these things. People come to us like, how do I do it? Then we just show them. We say, okay, you need to do an energy model that helps you understand if how your building's going to perform, and then you can evaluate different characteristics that you might put in at different HVAC systems or more insulation or different roofing and different windows. And so we just help people understand how like energy modeling can be a design tool to create a better building, or how following the certification frameworks, be it LEED or WELL or FitWell or NGBS, like following those certifications leads the team through more thoughtful conversations during design so that you're just designing a better building.
yeah, yeah. And that's brilliant because these approaches has bring you where you are today, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like, how has the conversation with clients changed over the years? Not just what they ask for, but how they think as well.
So there were a couple of sort of key milestones that I remember very clearly. So when we started in 2008, there was absolutely a precondition that everybody just assumed it was going to cost way more, way more. And we, after doing several projects, major renovation or new construction, but several projects, we helped our clients understand that pursuing a certification might be 1 to 3% more in cost, but what it was going to save in operating costs way outweighed that. So yes, there was a little bit of a trade-off, but it wasn't 10% or 15% more. For a substantial building, if we were talking a 1,500 square foot commercial interior, I mean that's just different because the
Yeah.
whole budget is small. But so that was one thing, that there was this perceived cost. But then after several years, so let's say by 2012, 2013, people started to understand, well, if I just design towards LEED silver, for example, and that's my expectation from the beginning, I've already said in that sort of thesis for this building, it better be 10% more efficient than a
Yeah.
baseline. So now my engineers have direction. Don't just present me a mechanical system that's to code, present me one that is 10% better, and therefore it's just in the budget. Does that make sense? So they learned
Yeah.
how to build the building at cost to get to LEED silver. So then the up charges was, I want to go to gold. I might need some fancy bells and whistles that wouldn't otherwise be there, or up to platinum. So that was one where the market understood, they learned. Then it came to be about maybe 2015, 2016, where people said, well, some of the design build contractors, they said, we want to differentiate, and our base building that we are going to propose to anyone is going to be able to get LEED silver. So the design build contractors then took the extra step to put into their standard, you know, if you hire us and it's however many dollars a square foot, that will include all of these things that will give you LEED silver. So they just,
Yeah.
design build contractors built it into their standards. And then it came 2020, we're all gone home because of COVID and we're sitting around, and I started getting these phone calls from American corporations who were owned by European entities, and they were about to start construction on a new corporate facility. It might have been office space, it might have been R&D. There were several of them in like 2020, 2021. The Germans want to know where our LEED scorecard is. The French want to know where our LEED scorecard is. The so-and-so wants to know where our LEED scorecard is. So the Europeans, who have forward-looking climate requirements that the United States wasn't necessarily having, when the project got to the board of directors for approval to move to the next stage, they said, well, show us your LEED scorecard. And the Americans, hadn't done that yet. So then we're like, oh,
Yeah.
fascinating global economy and how that trickles down into the Americas. So we started to use that as a way we could outreach to potential clients. Like, hey, if you're foreign owned, you may want to get in line with your construction department or your, facilities department to understand what the European restrictions requirements are going to be and how it's going to affect you. And then lastly, 2 years ago, it was, we need to decarbonize. We've had these 2030, 2040, 2050 goals. We did the LED retrofits. We did our energy audits, but we're stuck. We don't know what
Yeah.
to do next, because what next is, after you've done the LED retrofits and some of the low cost items from your energy audit, you have to re-engineer a building. So
Yeah.
in the last couple of years, the amount of existing buildings that have come into our portfolio where they're not doing a major renovation or new construction, but they're planning for how they're going to meet their 2050 decarbonization goals, they need a different level of engineering support. And so we're now providing that.
Awesome. And being in this industry for so long, having all of this experience and working on all of these kind of projects, what are like companies still getting wrong about sustainability today, even in 2026, let's say?
They're not starting early enough in the conversation in their project
Yeah.
scoping. Just yesterday, I got a call from a awesome client, so forward looking, but yet at some point in time, we're all just driven by basic economics, and they are ready to file for permit, and the city in which they're trying to build has a climate action plan, and they want to know where the LEED certification is, right? So even some of
Yeah,
the most forward looking progressive clients, they'll maybe not do it if they're not encouraged to do it, right, by local regulation or permitting. There's a
yeah, it
lot
makes
of
sense.
that happens. But so and that's too, like, the decarbonization, the ones that are, like, major retail, that's where we're seeing a lot of it. They might have 250, 500 stores across the globe, and they have a 2050 goal. Well, how you can't create one decarbonization plan and apply it to 250 buildings in different climates. You have to have a building specific decarbonization plan. It's just a lot more
Yes.
work. So they think their in-house sustainability department's going to be able to handle that. They're not. They need a specific team for every building, and they need a plan for how they're going to stage the work.
Okay. And let's say, as I said in the beginning, you have been in this field for so long. What are some skills that you have learned along the way that will help you, proceed better and do better work in today's business, I can say?
Well, I think the more we have been seen as strategic thought partners in developing projects, the more it has required us to really understand the finances behind development projects. Major renovation, new construction, how you do capital planning, and how you would put together a long term improvement budget so that we can align what needs to happen with potential resources or lower cost capital. And so we've
Okay.
really had to been challenged in that way.
Okay. And now, as you scale more and more, what's, let's say, one internal process that still feels more manual than it should be?
Oh, reporting. Right? How do you
Yeah.
generate the field reports? If from the audits, from the commissioning that we do on the building systems, when you go out into the field, you're taking measurements, you're taking tests. The kind of person that does field work is not necessarily the kind of person that is going to write a report that the CFO cares about. And
Yeah.
many times, especially with audits or facility assessments, the report needs to talk to the CFO. And so we've had to look at ways we can use technology, right, to be more efficient. How can we get the field reports into a framework quickly, easily? The pictures lined up with the model numbers, lined up with what was the finding, quick,
Yeah.
so that the consultants back in the office can then take that field data and turn it into a report that someone can take action on.
Yeah, yeah, I fully understand. Like as you were mentioning AI and technology, how much do you think is AI, changing or evolving your industry overall? Or how much do you think other companies are using it to do their work faster and better?
Well, I think that technology is showing up in two ways. One, it's your internal processes, just day to day, how people are using AI to streamline communications, marketing efforts, using, for example, like a co-pilot or something that's able to search chats and files and what did you do
Yeah,
last week, right, to
nice.
create like your monthly report. But then there's all the software. It's either custom built or off the shelf. And if I don't get 15 emails a day, I might get 30 that are like, oh, we have this new AI driven process software that's going to help you streamline, blah, blah, blah. So there
Yeah.
are so many that the the number of opportunities for people to like use technology to streamline pieces and parts. The question is, how do they all fit together? Right.
Yeah, yeah, I fully agree with that part because as AI is evolving now, every industry have to, fit in. And if you don't do that, you will have that you can say behind, and your competition always will be, let's say, ahead of you. Because there are a lot of founders and a lot of owners who still have those thoughts that, okay, I will go old-fashioned way because I don't want to feel that personal touch. And they end up on automating nothing. And their competition is going ahead because now they have more time, they have more resources, and the AI is doing most of the work. And this is why I think that overall in all industries, especially in this one, it's helping in all, I can say, fields or sectors.
Yep, absolutely.
And from your perspective, where do you see sustainability and real estate space evolving in the next 3 to 5 years?
I think that we're going to go so what I've noticed even in the last 18 months, there's so much more of a focus on terms like we're back to energy efficiency, cost savings, risk mitigation. And as businesses start to feel the climate effects of the adverse weather, a-
Yeah.
and especially if it's a company with many locations, they've got fires in one state, they've got floods in another, they have crazy snowstorms that are breaking roofs and trees down everywhere. Everyone's losing power for multiple days. So where I think it's really going to go is in this focus around the electrical supply and the risk mitigation and um, just business continuity around access to energy. Also
Hmm.
compounded by AI and the increased demand for energy, it's going to be
Hmm.
it's two ways of pushing. It's both just the weather events and now it's potential grid instability because there's not enough energy to support everybody on AI.
Yeah.
And
Especially, yeah,
the risk of that for your business going down, you better have generation, you better have backup, you better be efficient so you can afford the systems that you need in order to
exactly.
keep you in motion.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is also why, because AI and overall all these data centers are using way too much energy just for our basic needs. And let's just compare maybe on the next years when the automation and also the work will be way more advanced. The AI will do way more advanced work. Also, the power will be 10 times more needed than now. So I fully agree with you on that part. And if you, let's say if you were starting your business today from scratch, what would you do differently?
If I were to start my business today from scratch, I would definitely be looking at my technology systems as much as my people, right? So we
Of
are a
course.
professional service firm. Without people, we can't do our work. We all have to communicate with each other, but the technology is so more advanced now. I would take a different look at it as I was building out my systems and how we're going to approach what we do so that we could build the efficiencies in early.
Yeah. And for the new, let's say for freshers or for people who want to join this industry, what are some advice I would give them to them to point them to the right roadmap?
Um Advice on technology specifically?
Of course.
Sure. I mean, what I think I would say is to really understand what the steps are in the processes that you're going to be doing and to think critically around what technology solutions you could put in place for each process. Right? So it's really not just saying at the end of the day we're going to give you an energy audit. It's really to understand what it takes to do an energy audit so that you
Yeah.
can, build your human capital strategy in a way that leverages technology.
Awesome. And Laura, before we wrap up, where can our listeners or maybe potential clients reach out to you if they want to, of course, collaborate with you?
Awesome. So we're Emerald Built Environments, and our URL on the website is emeraldbe.com. And my email is lsteinbrink@emeraldbe.com.
Okay, so Laura, thank you very much for your time. It was a pleasure having you on our podcast. And for everyone who is watching, keep growing, keep thriving, and I will see you on the next episode.
Thanks.